Welcome to The Explainer. So today we're going to break down this really fascinating philosophy, a way to basically reshape your reality. We're diving into the work of Coach Bank Supakit, who has this wild idea that you can, get this, actually trick the universe into working for you. And right off the bat, this whole thing challenges a belief that, let's be honest, most of us have heard our entire lives, right? That life is a struggle, it's a fight, it's a grind. But what if that's all wrong? This idea proposes a pretty radical alternative. What if it's not a fight at all? What if life is just a game? So according to this philosophy, a huge number of people, we're talking like 98%, are walking around believing life is this constant battle, and that belief literally defines their reality. But then you've got this tiny little 2% who see it completely differently. For them, life is a game. And you know what's cool about games? They have rules, and more importantly, they have cheat codes. All right, so let's get into it. First, we're going to really dig into this core idea that life is a game. And then we'll walk through the 4 powerful cheat codes that this 2% supposedly uses to win. Okay, first things first. We have to talk about this fundamental shift in perspective. And, it's not just some simple mindset change. It's about understanding the very nature of the reality you're actually playing in. And here it is, the core operating principle. The universe doesn't give you what you work for, it gives you what you are. Now think about that. We're all taught to hustle, to grind, to work harder and harder for what we want. But this idea says, nope, that's not how it works. The universe isn't responding to your actions, it's responding to your state of being. It's basically a giant mirror. It just reflects your internal world back at you. It's not some kind of reward system for all your hard work. Which, naturally, brings us to the first and maybe the most important cheat code of all. You've got to stop trying to win the game out there and start mastering the game in here, on the inside.
See, the argument is that almost everyone, that 98%, is stuck playing what's called the outer game. They think more action, more hustle is the answer. It's kind of like a fly just banging its head against a window over and over again. It's putting in a ton of effort, a ton of action, but it's getting absolutely nowhere because it doesn't get what the real barrier is. The real game, the one that actually matters, is the inner game.
So the key takeaway here is you have to go to the source. Everything in your outer world, your money, your relationships, your health, that's all just the effect. Your inner world, your beliefs, your feelings, your vibe, that's the cause. And you can't change the effect by messing with the effect. It's like trying to change a reflection by poking at the mirror. It's just not going to work. The mirror can't smile until you do.
And this is where things get really interesting, because it just flips the whole script on what we think of as success. Most of us operate on this model. I have to do a bunch of hard stuff so that I can have the things I want, and then I'll finally be happy or successful. But the 2%, they get that it's the total opposite. You have to first be that successful, wealthy person on the inside. Then from that state of being, you naturally do the right things. And then you have the results. So think of it like this. The universe has only 2 jobs: to magnify and to maintain whatever you already are. It's basically a giant amplifier. It doesn't have an opinion, it doesn't judge, it just takes your dominant state of being and cranks up the volume. So if your inner state is all about lack and believing money is hard to get, the universe just goes, okay, you got it, and gives you more circumstances to prove you right. It's literally just fulfilling your order. All right, let's keep going. Time for cheat code number 2. This is where it starts to get really empowering. If life is a game and your inner state is creating everything, well, that means you get to write the rule book. And this is a really powerful idea. The only things that are true are the things your subconscious believes to be true. There's no single objective reality that we're all stuck in. The only reality that actually exists for you is the one your subconscious mind says, yep, that's the way it is. So if you believe you're not smart enough or that you'll never be wealthy, guess what? That becomes the law in your personal universe.
And what happens is this creates this really powerful and usually pretty limiting feedback loop. Right? It starts with the belief, like money is hard to get. That belief then literally defines your reality, so you start seeing evidence everywhere that proves it's true. And when you see that proof, you go, see, I knew it, which just makes that original belief even stronger. It's this vicious cycle that can keep you totally stuck.
Okay, on to our third cheat code. Now this one is a bit of a paradox, but it might be one of the most powerful of all. Here it is. To get what you want, you have to stop needing it so badly. So the idea here is that the universe kind of likes balance. When you put this massive amount of need or importance on something, you create all this excess energy.
And that desperate, needy vibe, it actually pushes away the very thing you want. You see it all the time, right? The person who feels like they have to be in a relationship is often the one who struggles to find.
I mean, think about it in your own life. Why is it so easy to get small, unimportant things? You're driving to the store and you think, man, it'd be great to get a parking spot right up front. And bam, there it is. Why? Because you didn't really need it. You didn't care that much. There was no importance on it. But when it comes to, say, $1 million, the importance level is through the roof, and that importance creates this huge energetic gap between you and the thing you want, making it feel super far away.
So, how do you lower the importance? Here's the secret. You have to realize your desire is just a middleman. You don't actually want the money. You want the feeling you think the money will give you. Freedom, security, whatever. You don't want the fancy car. You want the feeling of excitement. The physical object is just a stand-in for the feeling, for the vibe you're really chasing. And if it's just a middleman, you can bypass it completely. You can just cut it out. Instead of chasing the thing to get the feeling, you can warp directly to the feeling right here, right now. If you can learn to generate that feeling of freedom or abundance or whatever it is on the inside without needing anything outside of you to prove it, you totally collapse that energetic gap. You become a match to it, and the middleman, the money, the car, it just has to show. And that brings us to the final cheat code. And honestly, this one might be the toughest. Once you've done all the inner work, once you've set your state, you have to hold on to it. You have to stay unshakable, no matter what the world outside is showing you. Because in this game, the winner isn't the most positive person. It's the person with the most stable vibration. This isn't about slapping a fake smile on your face. It's about having this deep, quiet, unshakable knowing on the inside. It's about being able to hold on to your belief, even when your bank account, your friends, and everything you see is screaming at you that you're crazy. This is what's called the final test. It's you versus your reality. On the one hand, you have your inner conviction, I am wealthy, I have 100 million. On the other hand, you have your outer reality, your bank account says 0. So when your physical world is in direct opposition to your inner world, which one wins? Which one do you believe more? The way it's explained is that there's this buffer, this gap in time. Your inner reality is like steam, and your outer reality is like ice. You've got to be strong enough to hold that belief steady while it's still just steam, trusting that it will eventually freeze into ice, even when you can't see a single drop of water yet. Your ability to hold that conviction before the world proves it to you, that is the final key. And really, that's the whole challenge of this entire philosophy, isn't it? It's easy to believe when things are going your way, but the real game is played in that gap, the space between what you believe and what you currently see. So it leaves us with this one final thought. When your reality doesn't match your desire, which one are you going to let win?